guys, welcome back! So, let's revisit, 25 years later, the third title on the Turrican franchise. Is it better than its older brothers? Let's take a look! Factor 5 began developing the third installment on the Turrican franchise for the Commodore Amiga right after the release of Turrican 2: The Final Fight. A working demo even existed, and some of its features were even included in the final game, but sadly, the news were that by 1993 the Amiga market was on a steep decline, so along with Rainbow Arts, Factor 5 decided to instead develop the game to the Sega Mega Drive. Even so, this third game from the series, now known as Mega Turrican, was later ported to the Commodore Amiga by Keiko and Neon Studios under the title Turrican 3 Payment Day. A curious fact was that the Amiga version, despite not being the original, was the first to be commercially available in 1993. This was due to the fact that the original game didn't have a publisher, so it stayed unreleased till 1994. As said, the Amiga market was already in decline by that time, and that led to the decision of developing the third Turrican game for the Sega Mega Drive instead of the Commodore Amiga. Rainbow Arts had always been the best publishing partner for Factor 5's games, but not on the console business, so, and after many presentations and meetings with a few Mega Drive and Genesis publishers, a deal was finally signed between Factor 5 and Data East, along with Sony Electronic Publishing, leading to the worldwide distribution of Mega Turrican by 1994. The Amiga version was supposed to be different from the original Mega Drive game. Keiko approached Rainbow Arts stating that they could create something great for the Amiga computer, the system that really brought fame to the series, but Keiko was not doing very well at all levels, what led to a few problems during development. So, and as stated above, the Amiga game ended up as a port from Mega Turrican. Other versions were considered like the Acorn Archimedes and MS-DOS, but failed to see the light of day, so we can only enjoy this gem on Sega's 16-bit Marvel and on the Amiga. That was where I played it for the first time back in the summer of '93. The first thing we notice when playing it for the very first time are the smaller levels compared to the previous Turrican games, but Turrican 3 or Mega Turrican compensates with newer effects, huge graphical improvement, and more focus towards action and shooting mechanics. You obviously remember the lightning whip from the first two games, right? Well, now it's gone and replaced by a grappling hook in a sort of bionic commando style. Sadly, the Amiga port loses this battle. Many graphical details and even sound effects were sacrificed during the process. The 64 colors of the Mega Drive version had to be downgraded to 32 for the Amiga, but the music, however, was tweaked to fit the unique Amiga capabilities in this area and sound really impressive on this system. As for level design and gameplay, these remained practically intact, with only turning a secret level from Mega Turrican into a regular level on Turrican 3. It's basically more of the same, but for fans like me, it's like being in heaven. I absolutely love all things Turrican related, so I could only wish that the series would return in style for the current gen systems, but retaining this old-fashioned 2D style, just like many others that surface nowadays. There's 15 levels in total, multi-layered parallax scrolling, and over 20 different musical tracks. Chris Hulsbeck and Jochen Ippel for the Amiga loading screens returns with one more amazing soundtrack, but even so, the one from the previous game on the franchise is still my favorite and truly memorable. Even so, it's awesome to hear Chris Hulsbeck's first original soundtrack on a Sega console. Most of the content of Mega Turrican was recycled for use in the Super Nintendo game Super Turrican that was released even before Turrican 3 for the Amiga. By this time, you're already completely lost in the middle of ports and conversions and recycles, aren't you? Super Turrican shares a similar visual style and plays similarly to Mega Turrican, but has a different set of levels and a freeze beam instead of the original lightning whip from the two previous games and the grappling hook from Mega Turrican and Turrican 3. The music on the SNES version is also incredible, and I can't simply pick a favorite from the three versions. Tell me, do you prefer the Amiga? The Mega Drive Genesis? Or the Super Nintendo soundtrack? Power up! So, looking at the whole package, it's up to you to decide which one is better and which one you should have in your private collection. The three have their own strong and weak points, but I love them all, and as said, would grab a new game immediately without blinking. So guys, hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you did, don't forget to subscribe, to click on that bell icon so that you're notified when my next video becomes available. Comment, like, share, pattern, all that good stuff that helps the channel grow and reach the outskirts of the universe. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode.